Welcome back. Slow but not steady. That's how CARP, an association of Canadians aged 55 and over, describes the pace of pension reform in this country. An estimated 60% of employees in Canada don't have a workplace pension plan, and CARP says there's a pressing need to improve the status quo. Suan Eng is Vice President of Advocacy with CARP and joins us in the studio. Thank you for coming in. So one of the things that did happen this week, trying to be the optimist, is that finance ministers did get agreement for this framework on a private pooled retirement plan. And I know that your organization has problems with that. I wonder if you could tell us what the objections are.
Well, first of all, I think that their agreement is not nothing. It's very important to see that, for a year and a half, the governments, all of the provinces and the federal government had their backs to us. They said, we don't need any kind of reform. Things are just fine. And so finally, in June of this year, they turned around and said, well, people are not saving enough. They need some kind of pooled fund in which to save safely for their retirement, and government has a role to help fix this problem. And so they, at that time, themselves proposed that there be a modest enhancement to CPP and a private sector plan to fill the gap. Remember, the point is that some two-thirds of the working population does not have access to a workplace pension, which for most people happens to be the best way to save for their own retirement. The rest of us are just basically left with doing our best with our RSPs. So obviously, either a mandatory plan like CPP, and even with the modest enhancements, it would have helped a lot of people, or a pooled fund that they're recommending here, which in this case is voluntary, doesn't have some protections around fees and so on that we worry about, but otherwise could provide a very significant option for those who don't have access to the workplace pension.
But Susan, isn't this just a redistribution of wealth? I mean, why would I'm an employer, I'm an employee, why do I want to pay more? Should I care? I don't want to pay more in tax, more in CPP. I don't really care about other people's pensions. And I would argue that this isn't even a pension anyways. So why should employees care? Why do they have to pay more?
Well, the key to remember is that this is your own pension, your own retirement, saving for your own retirement. If you're smart enough to start when you're young and start saving for yourself, and when you hit 50, 60 years of age, you've got a nice little kitty, you're fine. But most people are not that smart. And they need to have some kind of structure. They need to have options. They need to be able to invest in something that's safe and dependable. And so far, the only thing that has proven itself to be safe and dependable in this economy has been the CPP and the workplace pensions, which are not bad.
So I guess one of the benefits of CPP is that it's not voluntary, right? Mandatory, but you would like to see greater payments made, premiums rise. By how much? How much do you think they need to increase, ideally?
I think there always had to be a balance between the mandatory plan of the CPP expansion and a private plan or another public option that allowed people to make voluntary contributions to the degree that they need it. But I think that people are starting to realize only recently how much they actually have to save in order to have enough for retirement. A lot of people are worried about getting their houses paid off, getting their kids through school, but then they also spend on trips and personal luxuries, and they don't realize that if that money had been socked away, they're going to be in better shape when they come to stop working, have no other source of income, and live on their savings.
But it might help if they had a number. I mean, and that's why I asked the CPP question. Does your organization have an actual amount or a percentage that you believe it's necessary to hike premiums?
Well, the experts who look at this, and I'm by no means an expert, but they do talk about the fact that when you're working, and unless you have a lot of, unless you're a trust fund kid or if you have a lot of other investments, then they say that you need from 50 to 70% of your pre-retirement income in order to live adequately, maintain your standard of living in retirement when you're not working. Now, how do you get to that point? The estimate is in the neighborhood of some 18% of your current income. And in fact, civil servants, even the people here at CBC, are contributing in the neighborhood of 18% of their annual salaries into their own retirement plan. So that's simple arithmetic. Now in those cases where they have a pooled fund, they have professional managers, they have high investment returns, and they're pooling risks, which is really important, they can actually, together with the contribution rates, provide a very decent retirement income for all of the employees.
But this isn't really a pension, to be clear. This is a supplement, right? I mean, you can only make with old age, maybe a couple could probably put together $30,000 a year on this. So not a lot if you had to pay a mortgage still. So is CARP working with its members to say, hey, you know what, you're in a lot of trouble, even if we do increase this moderately, because the train, it's coming down the track, and you're not going to have enough money unless you start creating a private pool of your own anyways. Are you helping your party, your people, create some kind of wealth outside the CPP?
Well, you see, there's the thing. Individually, it's very hard for all of us to just do that on our own. That is why a pooled plan is a good idea. All our caution is that in addition to it being a pooled plan and professional managers and cost efficiencies and all of that, that there also be protections in terms of the fees that have been enormous in the private, the private products that are out there that really erode your ability to save adequately. If they take the wrong kind of risks with your retirement funds, could put the fund in trouble when you need it. And if they are self-dealing, that's an issue that confronts us entirely in the investment industry. So it has been indicated that large pool funds, by and large, do better, especially in a downturn, compared to individuals trying to do it on their own.
All right, Susan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.